A very good morning to you all and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwinska. According to two Ukrainian sources close to the peace negotiations, Ukraine has sent the United States its latest plan to end the war with Russia. The news comes after the Financial Times reported on Tuesday that the U.S. president's envoys had given President Volodymyr Zelenskyy a just few days to respond to the American proposed peace agreement. As stated by a person familiar with the details of the plan proposed to Zelenskyy, President Trump was hoping to have a ceasefire agreement signed by both parties before Christmas. Under the proposed agreement, Ukraine would have to accept territorial losses in exchange for unspecified security guarantees from the United States. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, however, remains adamant that no ceasefire agreement can include ceding even an inch of Ukrainian territory to Russia.
Yeah, and you did it. Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
On Wednesday, the U.S. House of Representatives approved a new $900 billion defense spending bill, which includes military aid to Ukraine. According to the bill, Kyiv will receive $400 million per year from the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, or USAI, in 2026 and 2027. The new spending bill reauthorizes use of the USAI program, which supplies arms to Ukraine through contracts with U.S. defense companies. The draft also places limits on President Donald Trump's ability to reduce the number of American troops stationed in Europe and withhold support for Ukraine. According to the legislation, at least 76,000 U.S. servicemen will have to be stationed in Europe at any given time. It also requires the Pentagon to notify Congress within 48 hours of any decision to restrict intelligence sharing with Ukraine. The bill received bipartisan support in the House of Representatives and is now on its way to the U.S. Senate, where it is also expected to easily pass the vote. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he spoke in strong words about the war in Ukraine during a call with European leaders. Trump added that he was also urged to attend a meeting in Europe this weekend, but suggested the U.S. may not take part, saying, quote, "We don't want to be wasting time."
The leaders of France we spoke to, and Germany, and UK, all very good leaders, very good friends of mine, and we discussed Ukraine in pretty strong words, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we're waiting to hear answers before we go to a meeting. We want to know some things. You know, they would like us to go to a meeting over the weekend in Europe, and we'll make a determination depending on what they come back with. We don't want to be wasting time.
President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Wednesday he expects members of the Ukrainian parliament to propose their solution to holding elections under martial law. In his evening address, the Ukrainian president also urged other countries, including the United States, not to apply pressure on the issue.
Сьогодні я говорив з представниками Верховної Ради України.
I will not allow any speculation against Ukraine. If partners, including our key partner in Washington, speak so much and so specifically about elections in Ukraine, about elections under martial law, then we must provide legal Ukrainian answers to every question and every doubt. It's not easy, but pressure on this issue is definitely not what we need. I expect members of parliament to propose their vision. Security challenges depend on partners, primarily America. Political and legal challenges must be answered by Ukraine.
Speaking with TVP World's Adam Jaser, Gabrielius Landsbergis, former Lithuanian foreign minister, said that NATO is incapable of responding to Russian hybrid attacks.
I think it needs stressing that Europe has to admit that it is in a crisis now. This is a tendency. We are in an age of so-called hybrid attacks for almost 3 years. Poland was a major target for Russian hybrid attacks. Lithuania was another one. Germany, Nordic countries, and the problem was always the same. That the answer leaves more to be desired. Right? It's always there was always a lack of a definitive answer. So rather than strengthen the countries that are facing these attacks, NATO already showed that it's incapable of finding the real answer. So surely the national security strategy won't make it easier.
Polish President Karol Nawrocki and Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs have begun their meeting in Riga, focusing primarily on security policy. Key topics on the agenda include the situation in Ukraine and developments in the Baltic Sea region. President Nawrocki is in Latvia for a one-day working visit. Following a private discussions between the two leaders, plenary talks will take place over a working breakfast with delegations from both countries. Later in the morning, the presidents will address the media before Nawrocki meets Latvian Prime Minister Evika Silina. At noon, the Polish leader will also visit Camp Adaji, where Polish troops are stationed as part of NATO's Enhanced Forward Presence multinational battle group. 2026 will see record levels of spending by Poland for battling disinformation. The news was announced by the country's Minister of Digital Affairs, Krzysztof Gawkowski. Minister Gawkowski emphasized that the fight against disinformation will continue to be overseen by the Polish NASK Research and Academic Computer Network. This decision was made despite an unfavorable report on NASK by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe in connection with the Polish presidential elections. In May 2025, NASK reported to Meta that the campaign ads containing disinformation had appeared on Facebook, claiming they might be financed from abroad. The OSCE indicated that the ads supported then-presidential candidate Rafał Trzaskowski while discrediting Karol Nawrocki and Sławomir Mencen. NASK's actions raised concerns among observers who assessed that the public information provided was delayed, inconsistent, and non-transparent. The minister added that battling disinformation will not be the only priority of his ministry for 2026, as the development and implementation of AI in all key public services will also be high on the next year's agenda. The first Borsuk infantry fighting vehicles developed and manufactured in Poland have entered service with the 16th Mechanized Battalion in Giżycko. A total of 15 are earmarked for the unit, which is stationed in northeastern Poland, close to the border with Russia's Kaliningrad exclave.
The new combat vehicles will provide the Polish forces with a much-needed upgrade, replacing the 50-year-old Soviet-made IFVs currently in use. Weighing nearly 30 tons and measuring 8 meters in length, the Borsuk is armed with a 30mm autocannon, spike missile launchers and machine guns. It also boasts amphibious capabilities and features a 360-degree day and night vision systems. The vehicles are produced at Huta Stalowa Wola, with a total of 111 set to be delivered to the Polish Armed Forces by 2029.
After a year spent in hiding, the Venezuelan opposition figure Maria Corina Machado arrived in Oslo to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. The award recognizes her struggle to change Venezuela's political system and shift it away from Nicolás Maduro's authoritarian regime to aid democracy. Machado appeared on the balcony of Oslo's Grand Hotel, greeted by hundreds of her supporters. The 58-year-old had to secretly leave Venezuela in defiance of a decade-long travel ban imposed on her by the Maduro government and missed the award ceremony by mere hours. The Venezuelan politician was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. After her victory was announced, she dedicated the award to the Venezuelan people and the President of the United States. Just like Donald Trump, Maria Corina Machado describes the current Venezuelan president as the head of drug cartels. Furthermore, she accuses him of cooperating with Iran and supporting terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah. Bulgarians gathered at Sofia's Independence Square on Wednesday evening, where a new anti-government protest came together in the fight against corruption and called for the resignation of current government. These protests come ahead of the Bulgaria adopting the euro on January 1st next year.
I have been involved in the social and professional circus for the last 15 years.
Does the comparison of Parliament to a circus offend you?
No, it does not offend me. This is completely normal around the world, but right now a new circus is emerging, a new beginning in the circus, which rather repulses me. The budget that was adopted, then returned, adopted, then returned. Even now we don't know what budget we will have next year, which severely disadvantages specialists in certain fields, such as scientists and medical workers. They should resign and stop irritating these people, stop exacerbating the situation in the country. It is clear that elections are coming. Bulgaria cannot and must not be governed out of stubbornness. If we truly want to remove this model, if we want the bot votes to stop mattering, quick elections and massive turnout, many people need to come out.
Poland will compete in the 70th Eurovision Song Contest, officials from the public broadcaster have announced. Israel's participation in the contest has been a point of controversy among members of the European Broadcasting Union for weeks, prompting several countries to boycott the event.
Following last week's decision of the EBU to allow Israel to participate, Spain, Ireland, the Netherlands and Slovenia announced they would not take part in the Eurovision Song Contest. Germany and Austria, on the other hand, have consistently supported Israel's participation in the competition. Both countries threatened to withdraw from the event if Israel were to be excluded. The Eurovision Song Contest is the largest music event in the world, with an audience of approximately 170 million people. The next finale, under the slogan United by Music, is scheduled for May 16, 2026 in Vienna.
Starting on December 11th, an extraordinary exhibition and show called Remade in EU will present 28 designs and creations at the Europa Experience Center made exclusively from discarded materials. Straight from the catwalks of the fashion capital of the world to Warsaw, the exhibition will showcase items such as cables, carpets, hotel towels, and denim rugs. These items will be given a second life thanks to the imagination and craftsmanship of talented designers.
Fashion muses come in all shapes and forms. Nowhere is that more true than at the Remade in EU exhibition that just kicked off in Warsaw, where carpets, cables, and hotel towels alike have all been turned into striking fashion designs. Behind the eye-catching projects are creators from 27 EU countries and Ukraine. Among them is Bea Schenfeld, a Swedish designer with Polish roots.
The main theme is recycling, how we can recycle textiles in fashion. I have brought with me two different outfits. One of them is made out of quilts, old quilt technique, and one of the other outfits is made out of simple knitted carpets made out of old jeans.
Arriving straight from its Paris premiere to the multimedia space of the Europa Experience, the exhibit explores the concept of how fashion can begin where the life of everyday objects seemingly ends.
Clothes can be so much fun. It's not always like branding or how much they cost or sizes. So it's so much design and so much handcrafts techniques, but also a worrying path with quite young people just buying a lot of stuff on this, on Shein and Temu and stuff like that. And it's a little bit worrying, but I think somehow we all be doing the other path, the recycling path.
The exhibition is free of charge and runs until January 10th, and visitors might just get inspired to try their hand at creating something seemingly out of nothing.
The path is on this side.
And so this would be all for now. Thank you for joining me. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska, and I hope to see you back here on TVP World in just a moment for more latest news and features.